well. Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome back to Krown's,
Yes.
Elsa's,
Hey, that's not what we talked about.
Secret TA, Crypto Cave.
Hey, get out of here. Jesus Christ, this is a family-oriented channel. Hey, well, welcome back to Krown's Kiddo Cave, waking up for a nice and early morning over here in Helsinki, Finland. Nice little Sunday morning, getting ready for some nice cups of coffee and some food. But before that, we got some very important Magic and Money business to get deep and down and dirty into over the course of the next hour or so, as we do have plenty to talk about, because Bitcoin closing all those higher timeframes last night and also closing some major timeframe, macro timeframes tonight with the monthly and quarterly. We have plenty of opportunity staring us right in the face. So I won't waste any more time, but I do want to wish you the best, the happiest of the happiest. As always, wishing you well on this lovely little Sunday, and let's initiate that teleportation. I'll see you in the live scene. And there she is. There she is in all of her glory. Once again, Bitcoin actually closing yesterday's daily pretty damn well. So the way that we've actually closed yesterday's daily is going to start to change my bias on the lower time frames. Now, with regards to that, I want to really focus today on the higher time frames because one is Sunday, and we want to talk about, more long-term type stuff, of which we can talk about some perhaps exciting stuff, maybe 20,000 back in the cards. But more importantly, with what we're looking at, the lower time frames are more of a distraction from what I really want to discuss right now. So with that said, I do want to start off with the 2-day and 3-day, which we closed yesterday night, and the 2-day actually did confirm above the top 200 band right here, as you do see. So we have this nice 2-day dildo actually being painted in, cemented in, and once again we are pushing the top side. So to me, this is actually really opening up opening up the discussion, or not just opening up the discussion, but it actually does create my bias that I will be looking for some more upside from this area right here. Now, we've seen this so many times in Bitcoin land where we have a very aggressive move to the downside, as we saw right on over here on Wednesday, I believe it was, and then no follow through at all right after that. So we've seen it right on over here on this move. We see it right on over here on this move. We see it right on over here on this move, and going all the way back to February as well, where the market really started to turn around. So to me, this is just yet another example of this. Yes, we do have pretty high volume on this, but without any sort of follow through, I'm hesitant to call that any sort of reversal right there. So while I did say that it was very likely that Bitcoin was going to trade sideways for a little bit of time, after the advent of this dildo right here, I don't think that we're gonna actually be heading lower. In fact, it's quite clear here actually. If we go down to the lower time frames, my bias will be changed if we actually do take out the same area that we spoke about yesterday. In fact, the lower time frames, let's actually talk about the lower time frames very briefly, because nothing's changed from yesterday, so we can get through it very quickly. But as we see right here, there's two major trend lines. The 236 Fibonacci retracement right here, and our top resistance right around 12,400, and then our bottom support right on over here around the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, which is currently coming in around 10,700. Anything within that range is just to be considered consolidation. But the way that Bitcoin actually closed those higher time frames, I would start to lean a little bit more to the upside. However, the same thing applies to what we said yesterday, or what I said yesterday. If Bitcoin can close 2-hour, 4-hour dildos anywhere above 12,400, or if you want to be a little more conservative, 12,500, I would be I'd essentially be bullish for another trendy move back up to the upside once again. Technically, targets would be first and foremost about 12,600, I believe. Yeah, somewhere right on over here, about 12,700 actually, and then actually 13,300, and then really 14,400 and 16,000 after that. So that's kind of the trajectory if we actually do see that play out. But with the 2-day dildo time frame actually once again closing above the top 200 band, I do believe that's going to have carry on over into this. Now, here's the thing: when we spoke about the lower time frames yesterday, typically I want to actually see the lower time frames lead the way first because they're the easiest ones to get above. But we actually saw the higher time frames close above, and that's what's kind of changing my slight bias here. For full disclosure, I don't really have any, I did take off my short call position, so I've taken profit on these guys right here, out on the 13,500 strike. I think a realized profit of 0.266, but that was only for half of the position, so it was about double that. And I still have these guys on running over here, but I'm gonna be getting rid of these. I want to be exposed once again to the long side, and I'll be holding this bias and supporting it and actually adding to it if we do get back above 12,400. If Bitcoin does come back down to the 0.382 on the lower time frames, I still don't really consider that anything. Anything within this range is just consolidation between, again, 12,400 and 10,700. If we were to come all the way back down and test 10,700, which I do think is a lot less likely, likely right now, then I would be looking for a bounce on first pass. But if we do break that, then yes, we can talk about targets down to 10,000, 9,500 and 8,500. But for right now, that doesn't look to me like what's happening. Bitcoin being very resilient in this area, and that is certainly a good sign. So let's go back to the higher time frames, and of course, with the lower time frames, always understand how they have the relationship to the higher time frames. I'd essentially say, hey, if we break this guy to the upside, we're gonna see that fall through on the higher time frames essentially, and that's gonna really set up what we're looking at on the monthly and quarterly later tonight, and then obviously to the downside, which it's worthwhile to talk about just in case it does happen. But until it does happen, it's pretty fucking far away from here. Still that same area, that same key area is 10,700. This guy right here at 11,400, 11,500ish region, which we did bounce off yesterday. So if you did take trades off that, hey, well done. Nice little scalps there. Just the median point. I don't really put too much weight on it unless you're trading like the extremely low time frames. Then yes, it can obviously be used for that, as you saw yesterday. But that's not really what I'm focused on right now, especially as it is a Sunday, and I do want to talk about the more higher time frame ideas. So here again, here's your 2-day trending outside the top trolling bands. I do believe that daily's not going to be. Daily's just consolidating, but if I did see the daily come back down to the red 10 simple right around 11,500, that actually directly lines up with that median point, the 382 on our current, the 382 Fibonacci retracement on our current lower time frames that we just looked at. So actually would be looking for another bounce there if we did come back down around there. But again, I don't really have a strong opinion on the lower time frames. I'm pretty neutral. I do have a little bit of a bias to the upside, but I'm pretty neutral on it. We could come all the way back down to 11,500, be completely fine. We could come back down to 11,000, even still be completely fine. Anything above 10,700 now does have that bias tilted to the upside. But over here on the on the daily Stokes, we do have something to be aware of, as daily Stokes have been straight down ever since, well, essentially Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And with that, you'd expect fall through as momentum gets gained. But what's happened here is Bitcoin's just floated back on up just once again. So I really do strongly, I'm actually really starting to strongly believe that we're getting another example we saw like right on over here, where Bitcoin has a very, very nasty move to the downside. This one about 25%, and this one also actually about 25% if I recall correctly. There you go, about 26% on both of them, and then no fall through after that, and you get all these momentum oscillators coming down, and they reset without doing any real damage to price action. Realistically, from Wednesday to today, we're right back in the middle of the range. No real damage has been done, and Bitcoin, for all intents and purposes, looking resilient within this region. So it's just reaccumulated and reconsolidated within this region, and that is completely fine, and actually healthy within this region. So biases certainly are starting to turn around. 12 hour right on over here. Do see that 12-hour Stokes coming down this, actually even more aggressively, and the 12-hour Stokes have been extremely good on the buy signals for this guy. Even when we're like way up in here in the critical zone, even these buy signals still producing moves of $500 to $1,000. So if I do start to see this guy curl around, which you can see that it's losing momentum around the neutral zone, which you can typically can expect a little bit of counter trend pressure there. Then hey, that's going to be my next signal for getting long once again. I am long right now, but holding longs for an actual trendy move here back to 13,000 and beyond. And that's really the focus of today, because Jesus Christ, man, this has been a very impressive rally, and now it's looking like it wants to do some more, actually. Let's look at that 3-day for a second. 3-day Stokes are going to be already confirmed down here. So that would probably be the most bearish thing on the board right now. We do have the 3-day did not look as good, to be fair. 3-day does have our top resistance coming around 12,500, 12,400-ish region. So it does agree with that top resistance. So to boil it down, while I am painting a little bit more of a rosy picture, understand, please understand, because I really don't want to get misheard on this. As long as we're still within that range on the lower time frames between 12,000, we could make it 12,500 just to be a little bit more conservative, down to 10,700. Technically nothing crazy has happened. Is you're supposed to be neutral as a trader. If we do break above 12,500, we'll call it, and close a 4-hour dildo above there, then then it's appropriate to get long once again, and below I mean, again, below 10,700 is really like the area of operation. If I am going to call a top here and be comfortable with targeting areas down in the low 9,000s to mid 8,000s region. So for right now, Bitcoin's still looking okay. We do see, the 3-day does have a little bit of issues here, but remember, even with all of that said, and with all the people crying divergences here, we actually don't even have divergence on the 3-day dollar time frame just yet. We won't have it until we actually take out the low of this guy and confirm this is a local top, which has just been undone, or sorry, it's not been done just yet. So again, it would even take a lot of work for that to be done. But that would really drastically line up with a move back down to upper 8,000s, low 9,000s if it were to happen. But as you can see, with the way that the lower time frames kind of just wrap themselves back around, it is looking a little bit more likely here that we do push this one back again to the upside. Looking at weekly is well above the top 200 band as well. And here's the thing, looking at the way that CME's closed on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we do see that they closed well above, actually, in fact, about about $1,500, more than $1,500 above the top 200 band here. So once again, closing with a nice body, a nice thick, solid, tight body above, and to me, that's likely to continue the trend. Yes, we do see weekly Stokes crossing down. Or sorry, wow, they must be on spot charts that they're down right now. Yeah, they are down right now on spot. But on CMEs, they're actually up right now. So that is quite compelling. Again, divergences between these charts actually makes things quite difficult. We're gonna have to see where CMEs open up tonight. If we see CMEs get back above 13,500, that's gonna be pretty damn bullish. Remember though that CMEs have a pretty massive premium on price action right now. I think to the tune of a couple hundred to $300. So Bitcoin and spot would still have to get up there quite a bit, but right now spot's rallying back up to where CME closed on Friday. So do I want to go back to neutral is really the question for myself, and as I talk to myself in the second person and third person, sound like a complete fucking maniac. But my point is that right now I'm actually seeing we are actually seeing a lot of contra signals. But I would still stick with what I'm saying. If you really want to simplify this down, it's really actually the lower timeframes that you want to watch here with regards to to these areas that we spoke about, and then understand how they relate to the higher timeframes, which we're going to talk about now. So let's get into the monthly and the quarterly, which we're going to be closing tonight. And this is your monthly right here. The monthly is going to be closing good, going to be closing well, pretty much no matter what, unless we have some sort of a major sell-off back down below 10,000 before end of day. Which, to be fair, we've all seen crazier things than that in Bitcoin land. I'd still say that this is looking pretty damn good. Tentacles on it look damn good as well. We do have monthly Stokes headed back up, not just headed back up, but they are painfully erect right here, just like you saw in 2015 when we the Stokes accurately called the bullish momentum being gained. Same thing with monthly RSI, regaining the exponential right here, getting that bullish momentum at some point, and we're actually for the first time in the bullish control zone for over a year. You do see that the first time that we popped back into it right on over here, it actually did reject at first and came back down, tested the exponential, and that was a major buy that actually happened at a price point, as you can see right here on this dump. But overall, my point is that we're going to be seeing a couple different things that also have massive leeway into kind of generating the longer term trend, which I think most people are kind of focused on. I know a lot of people like to trade the lower time frames, and they're fun to scalp and all that good stuff. And yeah, there's certainly opportunity there. But the higher time frames, this is more for the hodlers and the swing traders. We do see the yellow 21 exponential moving average and the red 10-cent moving average actually in a bearish cross right now, but they are converging on each other. So the trend is actually lessening to the downside and strengthening to the upside, as you intuitively know. My point is though, is that on this next tick, we're actually likely to see the red 10 symbol cross back to the upside of the yellow 21, which it's not, I don't know if Bitcoin has enough price action history to really do it justice, but it's about 10 years now, so it should be good enough. We do see in 2014, 2015, when we actually did cross these guys back up to the upside, the Bitcoin, had definitely bottomed by then, and we actually were just beginning to really accelerate the bullish momentum to the upside. So it'd just be another thing saying, hey, this thing certainly does have a lot more feel. Not only that, but if we do look at the accumulation distribution indicator, which I do want to bring up every new monthly, I like to bring this one up just because it's damn good on these higher time frames. Not really for the lower time frames, but looking at it right here, we do see that we still have a positive slope. I'd imagine that this month is going to be another positive tick. So, again, I'd have to, assuming that we do get another positive tick, I'd be looking for another month of upside, really. This one has been incredibly accurate with the slope. Nothing else, because I don't really use it for anything else, but only the slope, basically got a negative slope in March 2018 on the bull trap to, I believe it was 10,000 at the time, and May 2018. No, March 2018, and then this guy right on over. No, this was 12,000 right here. Yeah, beginning of March, exactly. Okay, great. So double top at 12,000 where you got it, and then we called the bottom right here, getting a positive slope right around January 2019. So right at the turn of the year, and just again from a longer term time frame perspective, this does offer up the road. I guess is the right word to be using, the road for a move higher. And keep this in mind as well. If we put on the Trollinger bands for this guy, we're actually going to be testing the top Trollinger band. Now, I think it's a little bit less likely that we actually close this one above the top Trollinger band, but it is within striking distance, I suppose, especially in Bitcoin land. It is around $13,000. So if we can actually close this, which again closes later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time above 13,000 bucks, or 13,100 more accurately speaking, then we're going to be trending to the upside of these Trollinger bands, which we haven't done since late 2017. Which, I mean, you already know where I'm going with that. This was an incredibly powerful move, and I'd be looking for a similar behavior if we were to actually do that, which I think is a little bit less likely here. I think that we close rather close to it, and then next month we probably get an actual chance to do that. Now let's bring it on to what I really want to focus on, and that is the quarterly chart. So a 3-month chart, and this one right here is the one that I have all eyes and ears on, because if we close above the top Trollinger band here, we can see very easily that we're actually decently above it right now. It's coming in around 12,000. I would be looking for a move, and this is where I'm going to say crazy, perma bull tar type shit. I would be looking for a move 20,000 to 20,000 before end of year. And again, this is only if the quarterly closes above 12,000 by tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, you're going to see it in your lower time frames first, 12,400. If that gets taken out on the 4-hour, or 12,500 maybe a little bit more appropriately to be used, just because it's more conservative, especially when we're dealing with big numbers like this. But 12,500. If we say that taken out on the lower time frames, I'd imagine that will have carry on over into a time frame like this, and obviously that'll also get us continuation on the 2-day as well. So that's how they're all relating right now. Lower time frames are going to lead on into that, into the 2-day continuation on top of their Trollinger bands, because it'll be a new high on top of that after trading outside for the first time. If that's not convoluted statement enough, just it's it's essentially just maintaining the trend, and then that would obviously cement this guy in over here later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So by getting more of that momentum. So my point is that the way that we see this intraday behavior, we can actually really judge and perhaps front run a damn good trade here for a longer term period. Anyways, of course, on the monthly, I think it's also appropriate to say that and also focus on this chart just in general has been relatively good, just relatively healthy, just over a long period of time. Because Bitcoin operates in very, 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 very large numbers, it naturally looks quite scary, when you see this. Of course, I mean, an 80% drop is 100% fucking scary, don't get me wrong, but when you look at it on log scale, you do realize that we actually have been following this quite well. And again, this goes back to that same yellow 21 exponential moving average right here, which I always harp on the monthly, because the monthly is usually a little bit more relevant than the quarterly. But if you've been around this channel for the past 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, I think I was talking about that back in September. The 21 exponential moving average on the monthly is what I judge, when I was a professional trader on the floor doing stock exchange ARCA, if something was generally bullish or generally bearish. On the quarterly, it just takes on an even greater degree of presence here, and you can see that we never even broke to the downside. In fact, Bitcoin's been more or less healthy on the whole way up, although albeit very, 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 very nasty and volatile movements both ways. But that's just the way that Bitcoin, that's just kind of par for the course on Bitcoin. The way that we look at this right on over here, this looks, if we just took off the number scale on the right hand side, would look completely fine. And if we do test these top Trollinger bands once again and close above, which we are technically above right now, Wow, this is actually quite strange on BLX index. Yeah, they must not have updated info because their top 200 band is all the way at 11,100, whereas spot charts is like 12,000. Anyways, my point is that we'll likely get another reaction like this is what we're gonna see if we actually do confirm above this guy. And remember, these trends are just make it more and more likely to continue. So in each and every one of these dildos is 3 months of price action. So this would really set the pace for the next, for the coming years, actually, not just for end of year. I mean, a $20,000 target by end of year, before end of year. I mean, shit, it'd even be possible within the next 3 months, or even like in a way probable. It's, I mean, who knows, that's not even considering what could happen over the next few years. I mean, again, this is years worth of price action, another half year right here. Powerful, fucking powerful. So that's what I have my eyes on today, just because, this could be another one of those long-term trades. Anyways, while we're on here on the quarterly, it is worth mentioning that quarterly Stokes have been down this whole time. So 2018, they were down the whole time, but very little damage was ever done to price action. So again, just offering up a nice little way for Bitcoin to kind of cool off. And again, just another thing saying, hey, okay, it's actually not a huge deal from a longer-term perspective. Remember, Bitcoin is rather young, and I know it sounds crazy when I say something like that. This is just par for the course for Bitcoin. If we were talking on any other asset, it would just be smaller percentages. That's essentially the difference. But the overall idea, the overall mentality, still the same. Anyways, let's go check out the chart of expected moves here. So this is the daily expected moves, and again, if you're not familiar with this, it is the expected moves based off of standard deviations away. No, it's the expected move based off of historical volatility. How do I want to say this? It's the expected move based off of standard deviations away from the mean of historical volatility with regards to price action. Okay, there we go. Anyways, so with what we're looking at right here, we can actually judge this first standard deviation and what's most likely to happen today, the range for today. And I do like that it kind of matches up, albeit briefly, with what we were looking at on our lower time frames, with the range being about 12,000. On this one, it actually says 12,700. I'd say 12,500. Both are, I think both are equally valid. And then the bottom of the range is about 11,300 on this guy, and I say the bottom of the range is about 11,450. We can actually adjust this really quick, and let me just see if this helps. But let's do something like that. Would that change it? Yeah, this one actually does work better. This one actually lines up a little bit better. Bottom of the range would be perfect with what I'm saying, about 11,500. Top of the range would be about 12,600, 12,500 region. So my point is that this is actually kind of aligning with that, and does suggest that, hey, we do have a little bit of a slight upside bias here, but the range is quite well defined, more importantly. So bias, it does not dictate trading. What dictates trading is the technicals. For myself, I do not trade my opinion. I hope to be very adamantly clear about that. I do not trade my opinion. I trade technical analysis, and this is and this is a great example right here, where early in the week I was feeling like we were looking at a top, and that was the appropriate response as a trader. But with the advent of the last few days of price action, no, it's time to switch that back around. I've taken off, I've taken profit on my on my options trades, and once again I'm a little bit exposed to the upside, but I'd like to get in a real position a little bit lower. If we actually do come back down and test about 11,500, I'd like to try to position there, just because it offers a very easy way to manage risk, not because it's 100% guaranteed to work out as a trade. There's nothing that's 100% guaranteed to work out as a trade. But if we go back on over here to BitMexico and go down to the lower time frame, just what I'm saying here is quite simple, nothing too crazy. But if we do come back down around here, just a very easy way to manage risk, because I know that we know that if we take out this area right here, we're likely to hit the next level right around 10,007 to 10,800 region. So it's basically what I'm saying is, don't have to risk all that much money to figure out if I'm gonna be right or wrong on that. If we do happen, or if we break out this guy right over here, well, then that's when I'm happy to just get in my positions and hold on to the more long-term view for a while. And same thing right over here as well. Can use that as a risk management tool. Nothing's ever 100% guaranteed. Holy fucking moly, man! Oh my god, and it's a new emoji. Oh, holy fucking moly, man! And welcome, my friend. Good to meet you. Unfortunately, I can't quite see your name as it's quite small on my screen. I'm actually using a very small setup right now, as I'm getting all my stuff prepared for the move. But right now, Bitcoin coming back down. So what are we going to do here? Lower time frames again, just coming back down, testing supports on. I mean, this could be we consider this extremely low time frame right here. Here's what the hourly looks like. Hourly, yeah, could very easily come back down to this region. I don't have any sort of a bias in lower time frames. If I did have to say something here, it kind of does look like it wants to come back down and test 11,005, but I don't have a real strong opinion on this. The strong opinion and what I really want to be focusing on and what I'll be taking action on is what we spoke about with the higher time frames. So understand again all of the prerequisites and all of the and all of the relationships between them, because within this region right here is more of a distraction than anything in my opinion. We do see, however, hourly Stokes are actually up here. Maybe turn that around. Again, this is the problem with the hourly. Don't really feel too strongly one way or the other. Hourly Jewel right in the middle. Fucking hate taking trades in there. Hourly RSI, a little bit of bearish divergence here. But you could say that that's mostly played out with a $300 move that we just saw right there. So anyways, again, I don't have any real opinions there right now, especially with it being a weekend. Time to focus on more tangible things, and let's get back on over and check out Bitcoin. Let's actually look at some underlying market dynamics here. So let's check out the longs and shorts, and we actually have a great imbalance in favor of the shorts right now. Almost 30,000 shorts on the board versus about 20,000 open longs, which is very bizarre. I would have not expected to see this. We have about 3,000 of these guys hedged, so it's really 26,500 open naked shorts versus 20,000 open longs, which is still a great imbalance in favor of the shorts. So there certainly are people to liquidate, and there is upwards pressure to be had, and rocket fuel to be burned if the market movers decide to. Looking at the shorts chart right here, we do see, funnily enough, and again, this horizontal right here, I've had this in here for like a year now. It's based off of nothing more than just like a regression of where we seem to have found just some pivot points on margin positions on Finex. And we actually do see it kind of backing off that area. Funnily enough, I don't expect it to always operate around there. What I want that one to tell me is where things become a little bit more heavy, if you want to have it like that. Especially when we're looking at an exchange like Finex, which has a massive margin funding pool to kind of do trades, to fund margin trades off of. There's only so many coins to trade essentially, and because of that, we can come up with areas where essentially, I like to make the analogy of just too many people on a bus. So too many people thinking the same thing, too many people in the same trade, and well, what happens after that? Typically not so good things. And of course, with looking at the shorts right here, I mean, a lot of these shorts are well underwater, going all the way back towards June 11th, and then even more aggressively around June 18th to 17th. So going back into the charts, we can see that those people are trapped much lower on price action, going all the way down here. This is June 11th right here at about $8,000, a little bit under $8,000 actually, then going all the way up. I mean, this is an average price somewhere around 9,000 to even 10,000 at the best. Not good, man. Not good at all. Anyways, looks like Bitcoin will come back down to that area. So what do we have here? Yeah. Ooh, nice one, Bitcoin. Anyways, so my point is that when we're looking at the margin positions, it's not a primary consideration, but it is a secondary and tertiary consideration, which with matched up with price action does certainly offer up the potential for a way forwards to the more bullish route that we just spoke about. But remember, I still think it's a little bit premature to be calling anything right now until we see either a 4-hour dildo above 12,400, 12,500, or we see the monthly and quarterly get set in stone, which I'd like to see them, close above their top Challenger bands. If basically any one of those things happen, I'm going to be bullish for the next few months, or basically till end of year probably. So for right now, let's go back through the lower time frames. I haven't really checked out the 2-hour. What's the 2-hour looking like? Yeah, 2-hour wants to come back down a little bit. What about 3-hour? 3-hour, same thing. Actually, 3-hour Stokes coming back down. 3-hour historical volatility percentile getting pretty damn red line there, but it's going to be backing off relatively soon, I'd imagine. What else we got? What about the 6-hour? 6-hour has been pretty accurate recently as well. Still nothing too crazy here. I mean, you can see the range quite simply. It's basically what we spoke about before, between this guy right here to about 11,000 from this time frame, and midpoint right around 11,500, and upper point right around 12,500. Nothing too crazy there. So don't really have too many things to be talking about. 6-hour Stokes are going to be lightly up. 8-hour Stokes going to be up. 10-hour Stokes going to be up, and 12-hour Stokes looking weak to the downside. So Again, it's it's just one of those things where I would like to let price action unfold a little bit, but tonight's going to be a big night. I do believe that tonight's going to be a rather big night for setting the tone for the next for the foreseeable future, really. Anyways, let's see what else we got, baby. What else do we got? Let's go check out something else. Let's go check out a fundamental indicator. This is the Bitcoin network momentum, and I do want to bring your attention to this just because it is probably the only fundamental indicator that I've found that doesn't suggest that we're actually in a bull market just yet. And let me explain, or at least the way that I interpreted it as actually the maker. The maker actually might disagree with me on this, and it's like, how fucking arrogant can you be, Krown? It's like thinking that you know better than the maker. But just let me explain. On this indicator, we're measuring the network momentum essentially, which looks into the value transmitted through the Bitcoin blockchain, denominated in Bitcoin value, plotted against Bitcoin's price essentially. Anyways, that plots this brown oscillator here, the network momentum, and then price in the yellow. And as you can see, when we're uptrending, you see higher lows on this network momentum oscillator, and at some point we actually break through this horizontal, and we see that that Bitcoin creates an actual uptrend. It bottoms out right here and creates an actual uptrend with momentum. So we don't just bottom out. This is bottoming out right here. This is momentum being gained right here. And you do see that it actually creates a nice horizontal on the oscillator, as you can see right here. When Bitcoin breaks above it, that is when you are in your proverbial bull market with momentum being gained. Like, we're not just talking about bottom being in. That's obviously well and far away, but we're talking about momentum being gained, and it's time to be like in a trade. The opportunity cost of being in a trade is great, and you can see that Bitcoin does well for the next few years until it actually breaks back down below this horizontal level right here. And what happens then? That's actually when the top was put in about a month prior, but overall the momentum to the downside was really being gained at that point in time as well. We actually created a downtrend, and for the next year and a half, just straight down until Bitcoin bottoms out. It gets a higher low on this oscillator, but remember, it's not until it actually crosses back above, and this is where I think that I'd probably differ from the maker, is that it's not until we actually get back above this horizontal right here that held up the prior bull market, where Bitcoin actually puts in the bottom and starts to really level out in this next cycle right here, which at that point in time, once Bitcoin gets back above this region, that's when your momentum gets gained once again, as you can see in this region. And sorry, in this region right here, let's match it up. Yeah, in this region right here, actually very, 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 very precisely getting it. And then Bitcoin, goes on to create another support trend line right here for this next parabolic market cycle, which, boom, 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 for the next few years. Lost momentum right here, between here and here, massive lost momentum. Top being called right after that, right after we break back down that same, the same support trend line right here. And here's the thing, in the current trajectory, in the current market phase, we've actually not gotten back above this horizontal right here. So that's very strange to me, because you would expect that to happen when Bitcoin is gaining momentum back once again to the upside, which I would say, and I think most people would say, that we are certainly gaining momentum to the upside. But this oscillator actually headed down right now. So are we going to get something like this right on over here, where we put in our first higher low, and then it just kind of hooks around, and then the next move is like your actual mega move? That's actually kind of what it looks like to me. That's actually kind of what it looks like to me, to be fair. But my point is that technically also, until we actually get back above this pivot right here from the past market cycle, it is a little bit premature to be saying. So what I'm looking to happen over the next few weeks is for this to curl around, get that nice rounded out area like you see right here, create another high low, and then have the next move take us above where this horizontal is right here. And then that's going to accurately be getting, this kind of momentum, as you see right on over here, boom, for the next 3 years. This kind of momentum right over here for the next couple of years as well. That's what I have my eyes on, and kind of matching that up with the quarterly Bollinger Bands, matching that up with just the quarterly chart in general, matching that up with the monthly and how that's going to be closing, and then of course our other higher time frames. The picture starts to get a little bit more clear, right? Anyways, going back down to our actual charts, to our spot charts, it is worth mentioning that Bitcoin right here. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if you're a price action trader, it's quite literally this simple. Until we actually get follow through to the downside, it's not appropriate to be looking for it's not appropriate to be looking at this as anything more than just a consolidation. Yeah, we had a local top. Yes, that was the right call with that, but we're not getting follow through on top of that. So any sort of talk going back down to the 9,000s region, to the 8,500 region, is just it's just inappropriate until we actually either take out the low of this dildo right here at 10,300, or we actually close below the bottom of the range on let's get this one right on BitMexico at 10,700. Whichever one of those things happens, then yes, we can talk about an actual reversal to those levels. But for right now, it's looking unlikely. So even though I was leaning towards that early in the week, just because, I mean, I still stick with that as the right call to be making early in the week, but no, after watching price action unfold for a little while, I do feel comfortable, not being short. I don't want to be short off this, and this is why I say I don't like being short in an overall bull market, just like I don't like being long in an overall bear market, because most of the time, it's gonna bail you out during these more testing times, right? And when in doubt, I'm always gonna go with the former with the overall trend, and this one's certainly the upside. Anyways, let's go check out GBDC. GBDC $15. Yeah, still got that island top. Not really telling us too much about price action here. I'm curious how the weekly closed. Weekly closed as a massive spinning top, or if you want to call this doji, I don't care what you call it. On heavy volume, this one looks the most toppy out of anything, but this one does not seem to lead anymore. It hasn't led for a long time. Let's actually talk about another corollary of the market. Let's talk about Mrs. Litecoin, 131.10. So Mrs. Litecoin getting a great move off the lows and coming right down to our horizontal support here. I don't know what time frame I even made this on. It's at 114 and having a phenomenal reaction off that. So beautiful Mrs. Litecoin bringing it back up once again. I do believe that just gave you kind of a chance to buy right around 128.5. But I do believe that I do believe that it works its way back up towards 142 and probably beyond here. Be bullish on Mrs. Litecoin once again. We do see daily Stokes having a fresh cross to the upside and rejecting, more importantly, the edge of the bearish control zone. So to me, that's telling me that the bots and the algos really don't want this one to get bearish. And of course, breaking back above the point of breakdown is also just from a structural narrative. Well, bullish for lack of a better term. My point is that Mrs. Litecoin here, once again, kind of pulling herself up by the bootstraps at the very last second, really did test it down here. But this is why I wait for closures. And again, I haven't touched this chart in a while. And I mean, I don't look at Litecoin at any other point than when I do these videos. And to see her just briefly test down onto it and then bolt back up, that's a damn good reaction right there. So Mrs. Litecoin looking good on the weekly, looks pretty damn good as well. Just came down to the red 10 simple and bounced off that. So, fine. Let's look at how the monthly is going to be operating for the good old miss. And what's this beautiful bitch looking like? Yeah, going to be closing likely with a little bit of body here. So she's got a nice body, but still some hours left in the day to go. But anywhere above 130, and I'd ultimately be looking for continuations in the coming month. Actually, monthly Stokes itself looking pretty damn good here. Going to be getting back and confirming back above the critical zone. Same thing with the RSI above the exponential here, except it's technically already confirmed. Again, anything above about 130 or 131 is going to look good for this one. Here's how. No, we looked at the weekly. What does the bi-weekly look like? I don't think this one's appropriate to look at on a quarterly. It's just not enough price action. Bi-weekly. Bi-weekly strange. I could go either way on that. Anyways, let's go check out Mr. Buterol. How's he doing, Mr. Buterol? Mr. Buterol? Weekly closing. Weekly certainly a little bit weaker posturing right here, but day's still not done. To me, the daily looks fine. The daily looks exactly like Bitcoin. Massive move down, no follow through, gets reaccumulated on the yellow 20-minute exponential moving average. That's fucking bullish, man. This one's fucking bullish. If it came back down to range here is about like 311.5 to 312. If it comes back down there, I think that it probably just bounces from there. I'm gonna look at a lower time frame and see if it lines up with anything. Yep, and you can see very, very obviously that it actually lines up with actually this pivot right here. So if we did pop back down to about anywhere between about 311.5, we'll call it, I would be looking for a bounce there. If we actually do break 311.5 to the downside, like close 2 hour delta below there, then yes, I'd be looking for another move back down to about 297.5 to 298. But for right now, this is This looks on higher time frames like it wants to float back on up again. So again, I don't want to get lost in the lower time frames, but 12 hour here, 12 hour Stokes down the whole way, price action basically right back to where they were. I mean, that's just allowed it to reset. It's looks good to me here. I think it's preparing for another move back to 330, 340-ish region, and probably beyond. Again, everything kind of follows each other in this market, right? So I don't I don't think it's true. I don't think it's gonna like do its own thing, but most of them are kind of looking the same, right? And Mrs. Litecoin having that great reaction does bode well, I think, for the rest of the market, as she has led in the past. So Mr. Buterol still, we haven't really seen Mr. Buterol lead, actually. I'm curious what the monthly looks like on Mr. Buterol. I haven't checked out this one. And what do we have here? Monthly looking good. In fact, the monthly is going to be getting its first open and close above the 21 exponential moving average. So longer term target going to be about 430. Longer than that, somewhere next major area is going to be about 670ish region, actually. So that's what we could be looking at. End of year type stuff. But for right now, pretty damn good. Monthly Stokes can be crossing the upside. Again, not as strong as the other two major assets, but okay. Going to be following them. And monthly RSI going to be having its first closure above the exponential, barring any sort of major move down. So longer term, I am bullish here. I do think that we reach towards those long-term targets. Lower time frames, again, it's like how much do you want to distract yourself off this? I think the higher time frames are quite clear. Anyways, let's go on over and check out. Let's check out Link. I guess we can do the other top shitcoins now. Link right here, and then we'll get into the long-term analysis for Bitcoin. Link's still looking good. Again, been like the biggest fucking Link moon boy for a while now. I don't even know what to say anymore. It's getting embarrassing. I'm just like always bullish. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck it is. Great charts, great fucking charts. Just it's getting reaccumulated here too. I mean, this thing's probably gonna have another move. That's so fucking crazy. Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be willing to call any sort of a top on this one until you see some sort of a major, massive reversal dildo formation on at the very least a daily. Right here on 4 hour. If you do want to chart this one out, we have a very obvious support right here at about 30,000 even. Obviously a very obvious resistance right here at about 36,000 even. Probably going to spend a little bit of time flagging down this region, but so far this is very constructive once again. Looks fine to me. What does Cardano look like? Is Cardano putting in a low or getting ready for new lows? Well, if Bitcoin versus dollar is going to move up here, then I would actually expect altcoins to get beat up once again. So do you understand that relationship as well? And we can check that out in the Bitcoin dominance chart. But while we're here, let's look at the weekly. Weekly for Cardano looking pretty bad. Volume increasing to the downside. Usually not a good thing. Looking at very low time frames, probably have some bullish divergence here. In fact, we certainly do have some bullish divergence here. So might see a pop back up to 780-ish region, 800-ish region first. But daily and weekly not looking so strong. Monthly also looking atrocious. I'm not a fan of this chart, no matter which way that you kind of cut it. And again, it's the Bitcoin dominance chart that's really, and it's not just Cardano. It's like most alt. It's like 90% of alts. You're an outlier if you're looking good right now. Bitcoin dominance chart is actually right at resistance and is looking like it wants to back off a little bit. So you know what? Maybe I hold my breath on that one. It probably does bounce off this region right here at about 63.5, but that would also suggest that we get back down at 63.5. Weekly, I'm still bullish on longer term. Monthly, I'm still very much bullish on longer term. But for right now, if the monthly closes anywhere above 63, then yes, I'm going to be bullish for another month. But right now, lower time frames are actually kind of backing off. So that actually would suggest that alts are going to do well versus Bitcoin here. Okay, so maybe alts do well versus Bitcoin, for a few days. But higher time frames still looking quite bullish. So might have a little bit of a rest here. Let's go back to Cardano and really compare this one and really do a deep dive. Are we putting in a low here? Is this a tweezer bottom? Nope, not necessarily a tweezer bottom. I can't call a low on Cardano until we actually, it's not even calling a low. I can't even call like a genuine bounce, like a legitimate bounce, until Cardano, closes like a daily dildo back above 805 Satoshis, or at least 800 Satoshis. Yeah, we could probably say it at that point in time, but right now it's, man, I'm curious, what does another major coin look like versus Bitcoin? Let's look at Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum right on major supports as well. So yeah, probably does try to bounce here again. Higher time frames still look very bad, but you can see that Mr. Buterol is in one massive descending triangle, which typically, more statistically likely to break out to the downside. Doesn't mean it always breaks out to the downside, but more statistically likely to. And right now, when we're testing supports on, it doesn't look as good, but you can see the daily right here, very obviously getting, catching a bid, and the daily actually looks like it wants to work its way up. So okay, so I think that we do see a little bit of a break for the alts here, but still higher time frames very much suspect. So probably most alts do try some upside here. You can see that Mr. Buterol actually had a nice move over here against the ratio, but still longer term, like months out, still not the best picture being painted. What does BNB look like? BNB 34, spot 72. Ooh, man, catching this trend line. Oh my God, this is the savior trend line right here. And I don't even give a fuck about these diagonals, but that one's actually been working pretty damn well. And what do we have? Oh yes, I remember we spoke about this yesterday. Because it looks like it broke down, but we weren't getting the reaction of a genuine breakdown. And what happens then? Well, it's more likely that the trend, that the true way of charting this is this way. So I would say that it does look like we might come back down and test this region, but it's holding this area overall pretty damn well. And I do think that it's just going to get reaccumulated. Daily looks fine. Daily's actually right on daily support. I do think that this one works its way back up with the rest of the market. We do see daily Stokes headed down this whole way, while price action has been floating up, just allowing it to reset. We actually do even see historical volatility percentile getting down there as well. So that would suggest that this has just been consolidation, which I would certainly agree with. So I don't think that we're looking at a reversal. I think that we're looking at consolidation more likely. I would change that opinion if we actually broke this trend line at about $33.50. But right now, looking okay, and actually just gave you another chance to buy on exponential support. Next resistance, short term, right around let's call it 35.5 right here. If we do break that area to the upside, I'd be looking for another move back into this region here towards about $37.5 to $38. And with the way that the rest of the market is looking, probably just happened. Zcash, we were bullish on this one yesterday, and I'd still say that is warranted. Actually closing above all major moving averages yesterday. This one's really fighting its way out, and I do believe that this is a nice little flag right here. We can make a nice measure move off this as well. So let's take that pull and apply it. And oh my God, it matches up with our next horizontal right here. Actually, just perfectly, right around 138 to 140 region. So I do believe that Zcash does make a run towards that region. We do see daily Stokes weak to the downside a little bit. But technically are down while price action has been flat this whole way. So price action's had basically no damage done to it. Stokes have just been allowed to reset. Again, another example of that. I mean, most of this market looks like it wants to move up. Bcash on the weaker side for sure. Getting rejected by the red 10 simple on the daily. Not ideal. What does the weekly look like? Yeah, weekly, it's certainly a laggard, but if the rest of the market's going to move up, this one extremely likely to as well. Major resistance right here on the weekly is 490. If 490 can be broken to the upside, I'd be looking for a move towards about 600, 650 region. Right now, again, a laggard, but if the rest of the market moves up, this one will as well. Tron Cash, what's Tron Cash doing? Catching a bid right on the red 10 simple in the 50 exponentials structural support, and I do think that this one works its way up. I haven't even looked at the lower time frames yet. Yeah, catching the 21 here. Overall, just kind of working its way up, just stair-step its way up. Support right here at about 3.22. Upper resistance right around 3.8. Probably works its way towards upper resistance first. Neo Cash, what's Neo doing? Neo, daily Stokes down, price action flat, golden cross confirmed above all major moving averages except for the 377. So we probably do get another test towards $20.5 to $21. EOS looks like wants to pop back up and test 650 as we said yesterday, holding this same trend line, the same trend line that we see all across the board from what I remember. Ripple Me Nipples, same sort of trend line right here. And as we said yesterday, even though it kind of looked nasty, even though it looks a little bit ugly, well, it works until it doesn't, and it's still fucking working. So that's what I mean by that. Just trust your tentacles. When you're doing that work, we do see most oscillators are kind of just neutral right now. Not really anything new to talk about here. As long as 40 cents hold, generally okay, just working its way up. I think longer term still target of 52 cents and then 60 cents is still appropriate. But this one, taking its time. Again, going to follow the rest of the market. What's Monero doing? Monero back at 100. Oh my God, this is the dildo from hell right there. That is the dildo from hell. Jesus Christ, what a powerful dildo. My God, man. Shout out to those who trade on Poloniex. The lack of liquidity is astoundingly scary as fuck. It's like, there goes all my vocabulary. It's just like, what do I say now? I don't know, man, but it's really scary. Let's see. Here we do see daily Stokes still down, but price action flat. Yeah, I'm going to say that it probably follows the rest of the market here. What else we got? Not that strong though. Support is $94. Resistance is about 112. If the rest of the market floats up, it's just going to follow that most likely. Stellar, what's Stellar doing? Stellar popping back into the flag. So do we have a little bit of a throw over here? If this is a throw over, then this is actually going to be massively bullish. And you know what? Popping back up into this region right here. Probably does have. I mean, again, you know, you have to look at the rest of the market, the broad market. It's probably just giving you another chance to be buy right here. Sorry, this 200 simple, as we spoke about the other day, very good buying right there. Weekly still looks bad though. Weekly does look bad. This one's a hard one to cut because the weekly does look like it wants to come back down to a 9.8 cent. But is the rest of the market strong enough to pull this baby up? Yeah, probably. I mean, most of this market again moves with each other. Let's get rid of this guy here. That's actually that idea has gone by the wayside. So yeah, Stellar is certainly a laggard in the market. You know, not one of the strong at all. Strong one you want to see looking like Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, BNB. BNB not as good of a move, but really Bitcoin and Litecoin stand out right now. And in Mr. Buteral, okay, and actually Zcash, funnily enough, is okay as well. So to get back onto Bitcoin, let's talk a little bit more about the long-term analysis. And this is where I want to diverge myself from some of the other market participants. As at the end of the day, a lot of people are looking at this, or sorry, there's kind of like a lot of hearsay going around saying that Bitcoin's going to come back down and go back to its prior lows or beyond, which I think is pretty unlikely. And the reason why I think that is unlikely is because just about on every time frame above a daily, we do have a fully bullish posture of all major movement averages. We have golden crosses all along the board, and the reason why these things are important is because longer term, bots and algos are going to be using these to kind of judge their general perspective and their general strategies off of. It just tells you what they're doing, what they're programmed with, and if they're on the buy side, well, I want to be on the same buy side as them. And when we do see this right on over here, Bitcoin above all major movement averages, they're all diverging away from each other, and we have all lower periods trading above higher periods. The last time that we saw this in the market was the last time that we saw this happen for the first time, not for the first time, but the last time that we saw this happen in the market, when it just happened, was right here, late 2015 before the turnaround. Same thing on the 2-day. We have that same golden cross happening right here within this region, and then Bitcoin getting above all major movement averages. Same thing, right in this region, leading on for the next 3 years of price action. Same thing with the 3-day. We got the same thing going on right here, the golden cross above all major movement averages, and going back on over here, same thing, in this November 2015 region. Not only that though, but if you look at this white 200 simple, this one's been a damn good indication of where we are in the overall market cycle. For above it, generally good; below it, generally bad. You can see this in 2014, 2015. This was doomsday here, and then glory times here, and then same thing right on over here, doomsday here, glory times here. Not only that, but if we take it just one step further and include the yellow 21 and the white 200 simple, we can see that when these guys cross, that's when the party really does get started. So to the upside, absolutely phenomenal reaction right here. To the downside, absolutely dreadful reaction right here. When we go back to 2014, 2015, you see the same sort of thing. In fact, these guys crossing a little bit later in December 2015, but still getting the next few years of price action very much accurately. Not only that, but if we do put on, we can also go to the weekly as well. Weekly above all major movement averages, and they are splayed out, and they are nice and splayed out as well. But if we go back to the 3-day for a second, and we put on the drawing tools, then we can do something like this. And you see this dotted trend line going all the way back to the genesis of this, outlined by these red arrows. We do see that this has been a great indication as well of just the overall phase, and for like a more long-term accumulation. How do I want to relate this? Just a long, like the phase of the market that we're in, which judges the bias. So between accumulation versus just hodling and well, distributing, at precise times as well. But more importantly, let's just go through it, and you'll probably get it through there if you don't already. And when we're below this dotted trend line, it is a great time to be a buyer, essentially. Now, yes, we can't, it can stay below there for years at a time, right? As it did in 2011 to 2012. But it was all a great time the whole time to be a buyer below this region. And the second that we broke above, well, that set the tone for the next, really like 5-6 years. But you can see that Bitcoin goes parabolic, blows it off, goes parabolic again, blows it off, and then it comes back down and bases on this same trend line all throughout 2014 to 2015, and even into 2016 as well. It accurately guides the whole up And then Bitcoin goes on again, blows off its top parabolically right on over there, and then breaks it to the downside here. This one also breaking the 200 exponential on the weekly alongside the way, which was when I started to get, that really changed things for me. And again, same sort of reaction here. Great buys below this region, in fact, the whole way through. So looking at this area right on over here and looking at this area right on over here, acting exactly the same. Once Bitcoin breaks back above it, which, guess what, is right coinciding with the white 200 simple, and retested multiple times, 1, 2, 3, 4 times within this region. Bitcoin, in glory times once again, and this is setting setting the tone for a much longer term time frame perspective. So now taking this one step further and just adding this on to what we looked at on the technicals on the monthly and quarterly, you can start to see, this is a lot more long term than I think most people are really looking at. Not only that, I'm sure a lot of people are going to add this as well. Not only that, but we can bring up the good old super gup, which just another random indicator that's not a random indicator. It's decent. It's just a conglomeration of a shit ton of exponentials. But what I want to show here is that when it turns a color, it typically stays that color for like years at a time. Going back to the BLX index, we can see going to the genesis of Bitcoin, it's been pretty fucking accurate. When it's green, stays green for years. When it's red, stays red for a long time. When it's same thing right on over here, same thing right on over here, same thing right on over here, and more recently and more importantly, we do see it turning green. Relative. Just basically just happened is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, taking that off and putting this guy back on. So my point is that if Bitcoin were to come back down, I actually don't even think it pierces that trend line anytime soon. So being this trend line, this dotted trend line here, that goes all the way back to the genesis. So my point is that I would turn back into a bear. I'd transform back into a bear if we broke this area right here. Then yes, I do think it would be appropriate to talk once again, about returning to prior lows and perhaps beyond. But for right now, not so much. We're well above it, so that's gonna be my actionable area to be going off of. That also means that if we actually extrapolate this going forwards, this trend line, we can come up with potential supports for the years to come. And end of year this year, this support trend line would be coming in right around. Support trend line would be coming in right around about 12,000. So $12,000. Now, what if we extrapolated that just one more year advanced? Well, we can bring this out to 2021, right? And what would that say the support trend line is around? Is 30,000, 32,000. What if we do just another year towards 2022, all the way up here? Where would this trend line be? Remember, this trend line can break, but it usually takes a few years for this one to break after you've been below it for quite some time, which we were. This would suggest all the way at 80,000 for 2022. What about 2023? Can I even get over there? No, 2022 is right here. Yeah, 84,000. Yeah, I can't even get towards 2023. So maybe we go to monthly for a second. I'm curious. Yeah, 2023. Oh my God. Okay, it just gets too crazy. I don't think it's appropriate. I'm gonna turn into a full-on Moonboy delusions right now. Moonboy delusions of grandeur 4. Anyways, so I think while we are here, might as well check out the crypto fear and greed index. They changed this chart around, but we are taking out at 78, which is extremely greedy. But for whatever reason, they just they got rid of all of the history on this, and we can only see this portion now. So it's actually a lot less useful. Unfortunately, this is actually not that useful at all now. It's even less useful than it was before. God damn it, man, this is fucking awful. I'm getting rid of this bitch. Anyways. My point is that a lot of things would have to happen for me to kind of get back into that bearish mode, and I'm nowhere near that right now. And right now, based off of where we close this next quarterly and monthly, I could be turning into a pretty massive bull. So with all of that said, I do think that we can wrap up the lower time frames once again, because I guess they actually do hold some merit here. But the range that is, and the range that kind of leads on to the domino effect of just about everything else, is this right here. 12,400, 12,500 to the upside. We'll be more conservative with it. 12,500 to the upside, and I'll be looking for a move, generally just to float up, but targets would be 13,003, or it would first be 12,600, 13,003, and then 14,400, and then 16,000 actually. if we were to do that. By the same token, we do have this trend line right here, although it doesn't really change anything from this consolidation, just kind of an actionable area to scalp off of between this, this zone and then this zone. But if we do break it, then I'd be looking for a move back down to 10,007 to 10,008. And if that area does fail, if we actually do start closing some 2 hour to 4 hour diddles below there, I would be looking for moves back down to 10,000, 9,000, and 8,500. But I'm less inclined to think that happens here. Bitcoin is looking like it wants to pull through. But again, my opinion aside, these are the ones that have the domino effect leading on into the other time frames. So understand the implications with those, and definitely keep an eye on the quarterly and the monthly closing tonight, as those are gonna they're gonna set the tone for the years for really like the next half year to a year to come. Anyways, I think that's it for me this morning. I do want to wish you well on this lovely little Sunday. A little bit of a sleepless light night for myself, but I think I did say everything that I want to say. I do apologize about the stuttering and perhaps some of the brain farts here and there. Sometimes my brain just doesn't work as well, but you know what? I'm gonna keep on trying anyways, and go have some coffee, and hopefully that'll help. Anyways, take care, see you soon, and wish you well on this lovely little Sunday.